Hey, and welcome to Morning Call for Monday, the 26th of August, 2019. I'm Fab from Hamburg, here to bring you the tech news of the day, and welcome to the 100th episode of this thing. Unbelievable, I've been doing this for 100 episodes. Oh god, 100 mornings. I'm not a morning person. Anyway, I'm trying to do this more on schedule here now, so bear with me here to do it more in the mornings, as the title says. Anyway, let's get into the news. Wait, gotta tilt my hat because of that mic boom. Yeah, let's do this. So what do we got? What's happening today? More news on the Apple thing. Basically, all these revelations about all these personal assistants. Of course, recording things and then some contractors listening to it. Now, the Irish Examiner had an interesting story about Apple, and basically that they had employed a company with basically part-time, fixed-time contractors working out of the airport. I think in Dublin, was it? No, in Cork. Out of the business park there, and they were basically listening. So they talked to somebody who used to work there to 1,000 recordings per shift. All the people together there, they were saying, they're mostly, I think from reading it, mostly younger people, and they would listen to mostly English speaking stuff. So they had stuff with American, Australian, UK accents, Canadian accents. There were a smaller team also working on other languages, but that was the main part. And they've been now all let go. Of course, fixed time contracts, they can just let them go. And it seems like Apple shut it all down last week, from what the Irish Examiner can tell from their sources. Apparently, they got paperwork. And what I found really interesting is that they were basically saying, of course, they all had to sign like non-disclosure agreements, and just trying to find in the story where it says, yeah, so they had to sign like a non-disclosure agreement, right? And it says. When we started, we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement when we started. What that meant, we couldn't talk about what we did in detail. We were not allowed to say we worked for Apple. So Apple, usually very proud of their products, and of the stuff they do. I think this is a sign that they kind of knew that this wasn't going to be popular. And they shut it down very, very quickly. Even as if, don't want to say anything, don't want to spread any rumors here, but it kind of feels like they were kind of prepared. It's like, pull the lever, they found out about the Siri thing. That's kind of how it looks to me. I don't know. So this company was called GlobeTech, and yeah, the guy working there says it's like really sad because now all the people he knows there, everybody's been let go and they all don't have work anymore. It's about 300 people. Um, which is bad. And he also says like, as he thinks the problem was like the consent, as people didn't know. It's like, yeah, but I guess guess you were happy that you had a job, but like, think about what you're doing. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that job, just listen to people's stuff if they don't, if you're pretty sure they weren't aware. That's just kind of shitty. Also, I like the recap they have here. Just for people asking, well, what's the problem? The Irish Examiner says last month a whistleblower told The Guardian that Apple contractors worldwide regularly heard confidential medical information, drug deals, sensitive business deals, and recordings of people having sex, picked up by Siri. So yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer that that's a problem. We have news of what seems to be the first crime in space. It seems NASA is investigating allegations. So there's an astronaut called Anne McClain. She was part of the first all-female spacewalk from NASA, and apparently while she was in space, she used computers on the ISS to check into the financial, like basically the the accounts of her estranged wife. So they had combined accounts. Apparently, they were raising a kid together that they had adopted, and she was basically checking into their money. Although it sounds like they were living separated, so it wasn't kind of a. Her wife basically says she didn't think that was okay. And McClain says it's now been investigated by NASA, and McClain says she did what she always did. She just made sure there was enough money in the account so that they could pay the, I don't know, tuition fees for the kid or something like that. But like her wife, I think she's still her wife, Summer Warden, was basically saying. Yeah, it was weird. Like she was asking, like, can you afford that car, and how does she know I bought a car? Like, what's going on? And then she was like, so the astronauts, obviously she's an Air Force pilot, and her wife is a former Air Force intelligence officer, and as the New York Times writes in the story, she put her intelligence training to work, and then basically asked like who has talk to the banks, like who has accessed my account information, and they were figuring out then that it came from a computer at NASA. And since her wife was in space at the time, kind of must have been her from the ISS. Which now the most interesting thing about this is, of course, we have our first space crime. That means detectives in space are a thing. It's really interesting. This opens all kinds of questions about like jurisdiction and stuff. So there's a very they have very involved procedures. The Russians, the Japanese, the US, and the EU, which are basically the agencies involved in the ISS and stuff. They are have procedures for this kind of stuff, but there was never really a crime committed. And this is now going, these lawyers involved, and they had a hearing where she had to explain, and McClain had to explain what the hell was going on and stuff. And, yeah, I think we'll have space detectives soon. So just remember when you're up there investigating stuff, doors and corners, kids. That's where they get you, doors and corners. I don't know. I thought that was amazing. Yeah, that and stay away from the aqua. Stay away from the aqua. Don't mess with the aqua. Pokemon Go. There was a class action lawsuit in the US, which sounds like it was settled. Niantic paid over $4 million to settle the case, but didn't admit any wrongdoing. This is basically people who are pissed off that suddenly there were like these smartphone zombies walking through their private property, and then people ringing the doorbell late at night and asking if they could go Pokemon hunting in their back garden. which people are really pissed off about. And obviously, they won't get, like, everybody will get, this is like 12 people, and they will get about $1,000 each. And all the rest is going to the lawyers, of course, long live class action lawsuits. But as part of this, Niantic has now also created a website where people can go and say, please remove this Pokestop because it's in my back garden. As the register writes, as part of the settlement, Niantic has agreed to set up a website and online reporting system for people annoyed by blundering gamers on their land, and has said it will resolve 95% of complaints within 50 days. I wonder if there's ever anybody gotten shot, like, in Australia, with, like, they take private property really seriously. What are you doing on my land? The register saying about Pokemon Go, although its popularity has shrunk since then, there are still huge numbers of this. So yeah, we're talking about when it was like the hype, in the summer. I can remember this. I was writing stuff about Pokemon Go for Heise because it was the biggest thing. Anyway, although its popularity has shrunk since then, there are still huge numbers of dedicated followers who can initially be difficult to identify, thanks to pretty much everyone staring at their phones these days while walking around. But if someone is standing stock still and repeatedly swiping up or tapping madly on their screen, chances are they are lost in the world of Pokemon Go. I love the register. And speaking of the register, also, last story for today, they've written a nice recap of the Autonomy HP Enterprise Autonomy trial. With some interesting stuff that is set to resume in September, I think. Still, of course, no verdict yet, but it's very interesting because, they had only old HP, Apotheker and Whitman. They were all testifying and kind of against each other as well. And it's if you're into tech stuff and enterprise and lawsuits, it's really interesting. Although most people probably are not into that, which is why I won't be reading from this. But it's a nice, interesting story on the register by Gareth Caulfield. It's called The Story So Far. How's that Autonomy High Court battle with HP looking at halftime? Because they're saying that, pretty much half through that now. Yeah, and that's it for today. There's unsurprisingly not a lot of interesting stuff. I saw that came out of Gamescom after that initial flurry of things. Things have slowed down over the weekend generally as well, but I'm sure we'll have more tech news for tomorrow. And I guess that's it for episode 100, which is really short, but this is more like the time I was initially aiming for. So let's see. Yeah, as I said, I'm trying to stick to more of a schedule here. I'll be just follow me on Twitter, at Fabsh Foxtrot Alpha Bravo Sierra Hotel. I will be posting, and I have a stream schedule pinned there. I'm trying to come up with a bit of a schedule here that I can keep to. I can't promise that it'll work, but I'll try. So if everything goes according to plan, I will see you tomorrow morning again at 10, which is Central European summertime or Berlin time. So if you're in the UK, just subtract an hour. And if you in the US or Australia, who the fuck knows, ask Google what is my time what time is it here at, I don't know, 10 a.m. Berlin time, and I'm sure Google will tell you. Anyway, have a great day. In case you're listening to the podcast here, of course, nothing will change at all. So have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 101. Until then, doors and corners. Always remember, doors and corners. That's where they get you, kids.